got them all.
Why didn't you raise the alarm?
I did all that was necessary, sister. The Megan will come, and our troubles will be over.
Ponies are suffering, Luna.
I'm sorry. It's feeding on the magic somehow.
Big Mac? It's me! It's Jackie! Wake up! Please!
I tried, and I'm trying. I rescued every pony I could. Do you think this has been easy for me? I lost friends today.
And I lost my wife and little girl!
Please tell me this is another test. I'll fail it. I'll flunk right out. I don't care. Please just make it stop.
In shadows bound lies Tambalon, till dark as midnight shines the dawn. This is all your fault.
Everything you see is broken, and nothing seems it's going right. Don't let your heart start to bend. Don't give up the fight. You cannot live by what you see. Only believe when everything just seems so hard to bear, and no one in this world just seems to care. I will lay you down, and I'll show you how to close your eyes and see beyond the doubt. And everything you see is broken. Nothing seems it's going right. Don't let your heart start to bend. Don't give up the fight. You cannot live by what you see. Only believe.
Twilight Sparkle pushed aside the 4 teetering towers of books on the Canterlot Castle Royal Library's largest work table, and then magicked down 3 more piles. She pulled out 3 tomes, set them down side by side, and started leafing through them all at once.
Your Highness?
The blonde-maned earth pony Hoofmaiden had approached with such silence that Twilight had not even noticed her.
Yes? What is it?
Twilight did not look up. The mare scuffed at the floor with a front hoof.
Oh, it's just that you've been in here all night. I wondered if you needed anything, Your Highness. Perhaps some food?
No, I'm fine. I have to find a solution. I don't have time to eat.
Twilight frowned.
And you don't have to call me that.
The mare gave a quick curtsy.
Yes, Princess. Sorry, Princess.
Twilight heaved a sigh as the mare backed out of the room. The night felt like it had passed in moments, especially after Spike had fallen asleep. The little dragon was curled up in the corner, half buried under a pile of unshelved scrolls. Hours of study and dozens of books and scrolls had turned up practically nothing of value.
What am I missing?
Twilight asked the silent room and her snoozing assistant. She sagged.
This is where Pinkie would usually pipe up with some weird advice that points me in the right direction.
She turned away from the work table and mussed her mane with her hooves until it puffed into a frizzy cloud around her head.
Gee, Twilight!
She said to herself in a squeaky impression of her friend's voice.
You shouldn't feel bad. There's still a whole bunch of sections you haven't looked through.
Twilight pranced past the still undisturbed stacks.
Cookbooks and joke books and picture books and storybooks for little fools! I love stories!
Twilight clapped her front hooves together and bounded in place, giggling. Her giggling soon became choked and forced, however, and her bounds lost altitude until she was just shuddering in place. Twilight dropped to her knees and squeezed her eyes shut.
Pinkie, I'm sorry.
When the alicorn opened her eyes a crack, her gaze settled on the spine of one of the storybooks on a low-set shelf before her. The book's title read, How the Megan Saved the Day. Twilight stared at it for a silent moment, and then she got to her hooves, magicked her mane straight, and levitated the book off the shelf.
This is ridiculous. I've looked up ancient myths and legends before, but bedtime stories?
She sat down in front of the work table, set down the book, and then opened it. Antique illustrations of ponies standing alongside the odd bipedal figure of the Megan were accompanied by a doggerel verse in swirling, cursive mouthwriting.
When pony lives hung by a thread, the Megan rose and bravely said, Though darkness now may shroud your eyes, the sun is surely going to rise.
Twilight ran a hoof over the illustration of the otherworldly creature, noting the long spidery paws, the missing tail, and the awkwardly straight hind legs. She shuddered.
Creepy. Friend of wing and hoof and horn, and foe of every monster born, the Megan came on Rainbow's light to vanquish evil with her might. Rainbow's light. Just like when... No, that's silly.
She turned the page.
Foul magic brought an awful curse, dark and dreary, dank and worse. The evil presence sang to show how it relished spreading pain and woe.
The illustration showed a purple shadow spreading over the land, covered in sneering, ghostly faces. Ponies fled in terror, but the Megan approached in the distance, followed by silhouetted Pegasi. Twilight read on.
The Megan summoned fairy friends from where the south horizon ends. The fair folk's light, a blazing gold, purged the evil's darkling hold.
Twilight frowned at the picture of elegant, sharp-featured Pegasi with insect antennae.
Fairies now? Please.
She leaned in closer, studying the strangely familiar design of the creature's wings. She raised an eyebrow.
But then, I never did find out where that gossamer wing spell I used on Rarity first came from.
She caught herself and blushed at her own whimsy.
Every pony's counting on me. I shouldn't be wasting time with a bedtime story for fools.
She turned the page.
The ponies cheered her victory and came from miles around to see the one who saved them, one and all, by answering their desperate call. But not long past that joyous day, the Megan had to go away. For reasons clear to understand, she missed her home and native land. Though she's returned from whence she came, you may yet see her just the same. For the Megan will one day come back, and at her side...
Spike snorted and sputtered in confusion as Twilight magicked him onto her back and galloped out of the library. Megan awoke, stiff and sore, with the stench of burnt rubber filling her nostrils.
What? Where am I?
She opened her eyes to the sight of a town soaked with dark purple smooze.
No, it's not real.
She tried to stand up, but faltered on all fours when the wooden raft beneath her tilted ominously.
Whoa!
She tensed, her stance wide, until the makeshift boat steadied itself.
Okay. That felt pretty real.
She carefully shifted into sitting cross-legged and then hid her face in her hands. She groaned.
What happened? I haven't had a full rain lapse in 10 years. Why? What's wrong with me? What if nothing's wrong? What if it's all real? What if you're back in Ponyland?
The thought crept up unbidden, tempting Megan with its soothing surrender of sanity. It would be so easy to give in to the madness. Megan violently shook her head.
Ponies can't talk. Unicorns don't exist. Pegasi don't exist. Horses can't be pastel colors or have rainbow manes or tails. Horse eyes are made of collagen fibers and pigmented epithelium, not jewels.
She reached into her shirt and pulled out a heart-shaped metal locket covered in bright red lacquer and strung on a thick cord. She opened it, revealing a smooth, mirrored, and utterly empty interior.
Magic isn't real.
As if in answer, a soft sob echoed in the silent distance. Megan closed the locket and stuffed it back inside her shirt. She looked in the direction of the cry. A wooden cart was floating in the smooths, slowly drifting on the stuff's unnatural currents, and whoever was inside the cart was crying. Megan stifled the urge to call out. Instead, she sat still and did nothing. From inside the cart, a female voice spoke.
Mama! Papa! I'm sorry I let you down!
Megan frowned. Her hallucinations were playing dirty.
I tried to do right. I tried to keep the family and the farm safe.
The voice lost itself to further sobs. Megan's raft was slowly drifting closer to the cart. She wiped her eyes. The smoothies' stink was clearly making them water, and then squeezed her knees with her hands.
Stop being stupid. She's not real.
Please. I don't know what to do.
Megan took a slow, deep breath and let it out with a resigned sigh.
Fine. Just this one. Just to shut her up. Here we go again. Oh, come on. It'll be okay. You'll see.
Megan said half-heartedly. She rolled her eyes. She could no more promise that than she could promise to lasso the moon and ride home on a moonbeam. The pony in the cart shifted.
It's not! They're all gone! I just bucketed Dad while all my nearest and dearest kid got...
The pony jerked to her hooves and reared up over the edge of the cart to shout.
It's never gonna be okay!
Megan shared the pony's gasp when their eyes met.
Oh my god. Applejack!
Megan scrambled for the oar and paddled her raft closer with desperate splashing strokes. Applejack's jaw dropped further, for the moment shock burying her grief.
What? How do you... What in Celestia's name are you?
You silly pony. It's me, Megan.
Megan croaked through the sudden lump in her throat. The raft bumped into the edge of the drifting cart. Megan reached out and seized Applejack in her arms.
I thought you were dead.
She squeezed the pony close, looked up and whispered,
This is a thank you, right? For playing along?
Applejack squirmed in the strange creature's grasp.
The Megan? Like in the stories?
She raised an eyebrow.
But I ain't... For crying out loud, it's just a name!
She squirmed harder. Megan frowned.
No, it's you. You've got the same name, the same coat, even your little butt symbol.
Megan slid a hand over Applejack's cutie mark.
Hey now!
Applejack shoved her back and sat down heavily in the cart.
Quit fooling around. This ain't the time nor the place.
Megan nodded.
You're right. We should leave. Find some high ground where the smooths can't get to us.
Applejack shook her head.
I can't just turn tail and go. My family's stuck in this awful stuff. Big Macintosh and Granny Smith and little Apple Bloom.
She met Megan's gaze.
You're the Megan, right? Well, can't you help?
And yeah, here it comes. Sorry, brain. One familiar face won't make me give up on getting better.
Megan sighed in annoyance.
Screw your granny! We gotta get out of here!
Applejack's forehead smashed into Megan's face in a blur of orange and yellow. The human fell back onto the raft, clutching her nose and groaning. Applejack's lunge had taken her out of the cart. She stood on the raft and stared down at Megan with fire in her eyes.
Don't you ever talk about my granny like that!
Megan hovered her hand over her own face and strained to focus her watering eyes on the blood covering her fingers.
What?
I don't care if you are the Megan. No one puts down my family. I'd do anything for them. Anything!
Megan stared at the panting, scowling pony. She heard the hiss of her breath. She smelled the stink of the smooze. She tasted blood. She felt the rough wood beneath her and the sting of pain in her nose and upper lip. And she sensed the honest heartache and fearsome rage radiating from this same but different Applejack. This warm, breathing, talking, living thing.
Son of a bitch.
Megan whispered.
I'm really here.
Discord sat on his own tail, as if riding in a canoe, propelling himself across the surface of the smooze on the outskirts of Ponyville with an invisible paddle and humming tunelessly. He eventually came to the island that was once Fluttershy's hilltop cottage and drifted to a stop in front of the stricken Pegasus. He wiggled his lion's paw fingers in greeting.
Oh, hello again, Fluttershy. Thought I'd stop by and see how you're doing.
Fluttershy said nothing. Discord's cheery grin rotated on his face, becoming a frown.
Oh, come on now. This stuff isn't that bad.
He scooped up some smooze and stretched it between his paws.
You get dirty all the time, caring for all those animals, don't you?
Fluttershy remained still as a statue. Discord tossed the blob of smooze over his shoulder, heaved a melodramatic sigh, and then folded his arms.
Oh, fine. If you're going to give me the silent treatment, I suppose I could be convinced to clean you off. But you'll owe me one.
He gestured, as if rolling up the sleeves he did not have, and wound up for a theatrical point of his finger. But just then, his ear twitched, and he paused.
Ah, hold that thought. My ears are burning.
His ears burst into flame.
I just need to go take care of this, and I'll be right back.
He reached up to snuff out the flames, and then ducked down to whisper to Fluttershy.
Now don't you go anywhere.
Discord snapped his eagle talons and disappeared in a white flash. Fluttershy stayed where she was, half buried in smooze, her eyes wide and her pupils tiny.
I know you can hear me, Discord! Come forth!
Princess Luna paced in the shadowy depths of the crystal-studded mines beneath Canterlot, her face locked in a dismal scowl. She had called for the demon 3 times now, but her expression did not brighten when the flash of Discord's arrival reflected off the faceted walls. Discord appeared in mid-air, reclining on nothing with blithe nonchalance.
Hello, Princess. How are things?
Luna narrowed her eyes.
You knew it would happen.
Discord batted his eyelashes in feigned innocent confusion.
Knew what would happen?
Luna's eyes began to glow. She gritted her teeth. The air around her grew dense and dark. All at once, Discord dropped the pretense.
Oh, you mean your legendary, heroic Megan thing. I take it things didn't go as planned.
Luna's dark fury dribbled away, leaving her sagging and small in its wake. She spoke to the ground.
I was so sure.
I know, Luna. It's not as easy to be good as they make it look, is it?
Discord's voice was soft velvet, warm honey. Luna turned away from the demon.
The way my sister looked at me,
She choked up.
She's upset. But she loves me still. She will forgive me.
Luna ignited her horn and jerked her head. A row of crystals shattered.
That makes it so much worse!
Discord drew back. He stayed silent. Luna began to pace around the crystalline cavern.
We used to depend on each other. We were as one, united against the evils of the world.
She shot Discord a toxic glare.
Against you!
Discord made a sheepish shrug that silently said, "Guilty." Luna sighed.
I was so grateful she forgave me for becoming the nightmare. But now, all she does is forgive me. I'm just some ponies she forgives, some ponies she apologizes for. She's not my sister. She is my keeper.
Well, that's not all she does. She also spends a lot of time tutoring Twilight Sparkle.
Ah!
Luna bellowed in rage. Her horn blazed. Discord licked his lion fingers and then calmly reached out and snuffed Luna's horn like a candle flame.
Temper, temper, princess. Don't you remember? I've got a backup plan.
Luna jerked her horn free from Discord's fingertips, but she kept her gaze locked on his.
Tell me.
Princess Celestia tilted her head inquisitively.
I was just going to check on the refugees, Twilight. What's all this about?
Twilight Sparkle stopped in front of Celestia on the castle's front stairs. Spike hopped off her back. Twilight magically waved the storybook before Princess Celestia's eyes and held it open to the page that bore the shocking passage.
It's this! You see? This is it! It all makes sense! This is why the Megan didn't act like she was supposed to! If I can find Applejack, bring her here, and cure her somehow, then the Megan will come back properly and this will all be over!
Celestia's eyes quickly darted over the page. Her golden magic enveloped the book and gently but firmly pushed it down to the floor.
My dear student, when was the last time you slept? Or ate?
Spike raised a claw.
Not since...
I used magic instead. But it doesn't matter. I found it. I found the answer.
Twilight spoke faster and faster, a manic edge spreading through her voice like a spiderweb crack through glass.
If I can help Applejack, then I can help every pony, and I will help them. I will. I won't fail them. I won't abandon them. I won't leave them out there alone, stuck in muck while I flap my wings and got away. It's perfect.
Her left eyelid twitched.
It's perfect.
Celestia's brow furrowed.
Twilight.
She paused, her head angled upward. Her eyes widened.
Princess?
Twilight stepped back and then turned around to follow her mentor's gaze. Princess Luna and Discord were in flight, spiraling around one of Canterlot Castle's tallest spires. When they reached the top, Luna alighted on the side of the conical roof, while Discord coiled around the tower below her.
Hear us, equestrians!
Luna boomed with the full, echoing might of the royal Canterlot voice.
We have come to your aid!
She gestured to the Draconequus at her hooves.
We have bound this once heinous foe to a goodly purpose.
Discord waved at the crowd of ponies in the courtyard below, all of whom were now staring up at him.
That's right. Princess Luna has convinced me to do the right thing.
His voice carried as well as Luna's without any apparent rise in volume. He smiled benignly, and a golden halo appeared between his mismatched horns.
With my help, she'll clean up this little mud puddle before you know it.
A few scattered cheers from the crowd quickly blossomed into concerted hurrahs and thunderous stomped applause. Luna and Discord shared a sidelong glance and a satisfied nod. Twilight's ears drooped.
No, they aren't going to. Princess Celestia frowned.
What's wrong?
Twilight spread her wings.
I already tried to use magic on the slime. It just feeds on it. Magic makes it grow. I've got to stop them.
She took to the air.
Now, Discord! Redeem thyself! Bring an end to this disaster!
Discord gave a playful salute and then coiled up into the air above Luna. He clapped his hands together, unleashing white sparks, and started rubbing them together. His hands began to glow. And then his tail blazed purple-red, and his entire serpentine body jerked back and whirled around in the air before lashing out with a bullwhip crack. His concentration lost, the glow in his hands disappeared.
Stop!
Twilight raced up into view, her horn flaring.
Stop before it's too late!
Twilight Sparkle?
Luna grimaced in confusion.
What is this? Hast thou taken a leave of thy senses?
Yes, what's the big idea,
Discord added, shaking the red aura off his tail like so much rainwater.
I almost chipped a tooth.
He conjured a small mirror and parted his lips, studying the reflection of ghastly dentition from a dozen species.
That slime eats magic!
Twilight shouted, loudly enough for the gathered crowd to hear.
If Discord tries to make it disappear, Equestria will end up buried in it!
The gathered ponies in the courtyard fell to nervous whispers and murmuring.
What?
Luna's gaze jumped from her fellow alicorn to the nearby Draconequus, to the masses on the ground and back again. She bit her lip.
Nay, 'tis a lie! A lie!
Luna lunged forward and spread her wings, flying up to stare Twilight down.
Our plan is a sound one! Thou art simply jealous! Hoarding all the glory for thyself!
Luna's accusing hoof trembled as it pointed at Twilight.
Discord, please!
Twilight turned to face her erstwhile nemesis.
You know I still don't really trust you yet, no matter what Fluttershy thinks. But you also know I'd never lie about something like this.
Discord sat on nothing and rested his chin in his eagle-taloned hand with a roll of his eyes.
It's true, Luna. Fancy new wings or not, Twilight's nothing if not a goody-goody.
He straightened, and then turned away, hazarding a brief glance at the tiny speck of a distant cottage on the horizon.
Looks like it's back to the old drawing board.
In a white flash, he was gone. Luna's jaw dropped.
Nay, nay! What hast thou done?
She looked down at the crowd, now dispersing with their heads hung low. Her older sister's majestic white form moved down to stand among them and offer comfort, followed by the purple dot of Twilight's little dragon. Luna silently shook as she squeezed her eyes tightly shut, and a dull roar of poorly contained power surrounded her. When she opened her eyes, they glowed with cold white radiance.
We thank thee, Twilight Sparkle,
she said with glacial calm,
for opening our eyes.
She ignited her horn.
Luna!
Twilight reached out to the princess, but Luna's body burst into a swarm of black bats.
Wait!
Twilight yelped in shock as the creatures scattered and fled. Twilight looked down into the courtyard, and her eyes met Celestia's. The fact that her mentor wore the same look of saddened helplessness that she did offered no comfort. Rainbow Dash had watched Twilight's confrontation with Luna and Discord from several spires away, perched on a parapet like a living gargoyle. She had been nursing a stormy mood ever since Luna's first plan had fallen through, but her grim amusement at the alicorn's second humiliation was quickly followed by a twinge of guilt. She folded her front legs under her chin and sighed.
I guess not even Discord knows how to fix this.
Just then, a shadow fell over her from above. Dash looked up.
Whoa!
A pale cloud overloaded with a dozen enchanted earth ponies and unicorns was slowly but surely sinking. It was barely above the capital's highest towers now. Dash leaped to her hooves and took flight. She pressed her front hooves to the cloud's underside and shifted its course as quickly as she dared without breaking it. The cloud draped over the edge of a nearby tower wall and then tipped, spilling its occupants onto a large terrace. The cloud finally ruptured, leaving Dash exposed and hovering, slightly damp, before the dazed ponies.
What happened?
She asked once they'd gathered their wits. She shook her head and tail clean of the water droplets.
I don't know.
Lyra gingerly rubbed a bump on the side of her head.
The spiky-maned Pegasus showed up with some royal guards and moved us off the cloud we'd been on.
Us too,
agreed a dark blue earth pony stallion.
She dropped us off here and took our old cloud.
Dash frowned.
Did she tell you why?
Lyra shrugged.
Something about a big storm?
The stallion nodded.
Yeah, some weather plan. We assumed she was some pony in authority. She sure talked like it.
Dash mentally ran over what she'd seen of the last meteorological plans. There wasn't any harsh weather planned for weeks yet.
What did this pony look like, apart from the spiky hair?
Light greenish blue?
Mint green,
Lyra corrected.
Just a shade off from my coat color.
With the orange and yellow hair, and the lightning bolt cutie mark,
Bonbon added.
She looked a bit busted up. Had a pretty nasty cut across her flank.
The stallion observed, stroking his chin.
Lightning dust. It's gotta be.
A fearsome possibility flickered through Dash's mind. She looked up at the sky.
Oh no! No way! Ponies are still trapped down there!
The gathered ponies huddled close in worry, but their gazes left Rainbow Dash.
What is it, Rainbow? What's wrong?
Twilight Sparkle flapped over to hover before her friend. Dash turned to face her.
I think lightning dust is gonna try to fry that slime using storm clouds!
But all the ponies...
I know! I gotta stop her! I'll be back as soon as I can.
She soared upwards.
Wait!
Twilight reached out a hoof, but Dash was already flying faster than she could follow. Dash surged into the sky, straining for every ounce of speed. In moments, Canterlot was a tiny white island in the purple sea below. Applejack glared in bemused outrage at the creature with whom she had come to blows. The Megan had said little more after a shocked statement, opting instead to stare at her in wide-eyed silence. Applejack decided to press the issue.
Really here? Of course you're really here. For Celestia's sake, snap out of it. I didn't hit you that hard.
The Megan rolled over onto all fours.
No, I can't be here. It can't be real. It can't! Ah!
She pounded the raft with her long-fingered paw and let out a strangled groan. Applejack backed up to the edge of the raft.
Hey now, don't get angry.
She was suddenly acutely aware of the legendary creature's sheer size and of the meager scale of their wooden island in the smooths. But the Megan did not attack. Instead, she curled herself into a ball and started softly sobbing. Applejack shifted uncomfortably.
Where were you, Applejack? Why didn't any of you come find me? I didn't mean to leave. I was just gone, and then I couldn't find a way back. I told them about you, but nobody would believe me. Nobody! I went back to the ranch over and over. I begged and pleaded, and then I ran away and hitchhiked. But Firefly never came for me. None of you came for me. And then... I'm sorry. I stopped believing. I made myself stop believing in you. I couldn't deal with it anymore, so I believed what people told me instead of my own memories.
Applejack stared in frozen silence as she listened to the creature's meandering confessions and accusations. It all barely made any sense, but the hurt shone through, clear as a bell. The Megan was in pain, and, rude though she was, the creature had reached out when Applejack had let her own suffering show.
Granny didn't raise me to turn the tail on someone having troubles. I don't rightly know what you're going through, really. But for what it's worth, I'm sorry. It must have been hard not seeing your friends for all these hundreds of years.
Sometimes it felt like that, Applejack.
The Megan's sobs blended with coughs of laughter. She fell on her side, facing Applejack.
Sometimes it felt like centuries.
Applejack raised an eyebrow. The Megan wiped her eyes.
Never mind. Whatever happened, it's fixed now. You were real. You were real and you brought me back. I won't let you down again. I can't.
Applejack frowned.
I don't understand. You're the Megan. You're a hero. You never let pony folk down. Not ever. Shoot. I got named after an earth pony who's been remembered for all this time, just for having known you.
The Megan stayed silent for a long time, her tiny but bright eyes fixed on Applejack's. Then she sat up.
This place is the same horror show it's always been. You can't ever let your guard down. Well, we're going to fix this. I swear to you, we are.
She held out her paw, the fingers spread wide.
I think I believe you.
Applejack reached out in kind, and only flinched slightly when the Megan gripped her hoof and shook it.
We should head out to Canterlot. If any pony can help us put an end to this, the princesses can.
The Megan turned and took up the paddle once more, halting the raft's aimless drifting. As Applejack pointed the way to Canterlot, she gave her new comrade a sidelong glance and asked,
So, I always wondered, what's your actual name, anyway?
On the outskirts of Ponyville, Discord appeared with a flash a few yards from Fluttershy's prone, smooth-covered form. The Draconequus cautiously dipped an eagle claw into the purple goo and frowned. A minuscule magical spark left his claw, and the smooth rippled and burbled. A tiny new eyeball crested the surface to blink myopically at him. Discord drew back his hand and sucked his claw clean. His eyes widened, and he spat out 10 times as much smooze as he had tasted. More eyes swiveled up to look at him. He grimaced.
Ugh, yuck! It really does feed on magic.
He folded his arms.
Cheating. I expected better of you, Grogar.
Discord hovered over and craned his neck to look down at Fluttershy. He opened his mouth to speak, but to his surprise he found himself at a loss for words. He cleared his throat, and then took his tufted tail in his hands, wringing it absently.
All right, here it is. I know I said I was going to clean all that sludge off of you, but...
He looked away, meeting the unfeeling gaze of one of the Smoozy's countless eyes.
Well, I thought about it, and now I'm not sure if you really need my help. You're a grown mare, and I don't want you to get all dependent on me.
He chuckled a bit too loudly.
So why don't you just go ahead and get up on your own, huh?
He made a shooing gesture with both hands.
Go on, up you get.
Fluttershy did not. Discord strained, and then sagged.
Oh, okay, fine. You got me. I would have figured out that I can't help you sooner, but I've been having a little fun at the princess's expense. They're both so stodgy and proper, I just couldn't resist. I played one off the other so I could come in and save the day. It was very not nice of me. I've learned a valuable lesson about being good or whatever. And as soon as you get up, we can go and make sure they know it was all a misunderstanding.
He smiled expectantly and waggled his eyebrows. Fluttershy's expression stayed the same. Discord scowled.
Hey, I thought friends listen to each other. I'll have you know you aren't being a very good role model right now. My rehabilitation is at risk here. Stop being so selfish.
Fluttershy did not react.
Fine then. Looks like you leave me no other choice.
He lashed out his lion arm and snagged a passing robin.
Fluttershy, stand up at once or I will turn this adorable little bird into a commemorative dinner plate. And not the classy kind either. It'll be absolutely dreadful.
His eagle talons glowed with hostile white magic. The bird panicked. Fluttershy's body shifted. Discord let the robin go to clap in triumph.
Aha! I knew you were faking, you sly little Pegasus.
He winked and waved a chiding lion finger.
I'll make a prankster out of you yet.
He dropped down into the smooth and lifted Fluttershy onto her hooves.
There we go, up and at 'em.
He let go. Fluttershy collapsed back into the smooth and sank even lower than before. She remained as still as a fallen doll, until Discord felt another wave in the smooth, like the one that had moved her in the first place.
What?
Discord looked in the direction of the current. An ancient dragon, half again the length of a Pony City block, was wading toward him through the smooth. Its dark green scales were splattered all over with the stuff, including a thick layer over its face. It ignored its liquid blindfold, apparently navigating via the array of smooth eyes studding its outstretched wings. And standing on the enormous beast's broad head were the blackened, skeletal remains of a ram. The dragon plodded within a few yards of Fluttershy, and then angled its head to put the ram at eye level with Discord.
Hello, Discord. You look lighter than the last time I saw you.
Discord rubbed his paws together to wipe the smooth off them.
So do you. Quite literally. You've been dieting, Grogar?
Grogar gave a mirthless chuckle.
You never fail to surprise, demon. I was busy formulating plans for how to compete with you for control of this world. And then I find out that you've gone soft.
Soft? You're crazy.
He hopped down off the dragon's head to stand on the surface of the smooth like an insect on pond water. Discord's paws balled into fists. Smooth squeezed out between his fingers. He looked down at them in annoyance before going back to rubbing them together, harder this time.
Am I? From where I'm standing, it looks like my smooth has found a little something to stick to. Careless Discord, letting yourself care.
Discord's red-pupilled eyes flicked toward Fluttershy for a moment. He puffed out his chest.
I'm not. That's ridiculous. I am the spirit of chaos and disharmony. I do not care, and I most certainly do not have friends.
He jerked upward, clear of the smooth, but long, ropey tendrils of the stuff stuck fast and followed him up like the rigging of a ship. Smooth eyes for dozens of yards in every direction turned to focus on him. Grogar laughed again, this time with some genuine amusement.
The smooth begs to differ.
Discord gritted his snaggled teeth and raised a glowing paw. The closest strands of smooth seethed and thickened.
Careful. As you may have noticed, I have made some adjustments. You wouldn't be using any magic on my smooths, unless you wanted to end up neck deep in it.
Grogar dipped his skull to give the impression of a grin. Discord narrowed his eyes.
I could just freeze all of it solid at once before it has a chance to grow, you know. Or make it rain boiling acid until it all dissolves. Or flip everything over onto the clean side like turning a mattress.
Grogar's red eyelights met Discord's more solid gaze.
Oh. And how would those sweet little ponies buried in it fare if you did, I wonder?
Discord said nothing.
Face facts, Discord. Sentiment makes you and those ponies weak. I am going to raise this pathetic kingdom to the ground.
You and what army?
Grogar angled his skull to give Discord a sidelong glance.
And you really turn good if you're saying something like that. And that army.
A line of purple-splattered, hulking dragons rose into view on the horizon. Grogar looked up at Discord smugly. The smooth tendrils were pulling the Draconequus lower and lower now.
Your pathetic mortal friends are done for. Maybe if you turned your back on them, the smooths wouldn't cripple you.
He trotted over and patted the side of his huge dragon's head with a front hoof.
Like Verdigris here. He's empty inside. Dragons don't love. They just want. And now, he just wants to destroy. Don't you?
The blinded dragon grinned toothily. Grogar turned back to face Discord.
So, what do you say?
I say...
Discord stared into Grogar's eye sockets for an endless instant.
Gesundheit.
What?
Behind Grogar, Verdigris reared up, snorting. The dragon coughed and gasped, shaking its head, before finally inhaling until its chest swelled, and then unleashing a gigantic and echoing sneeze. The dragon's entire skeleton, bleached and pristine, flew out of its nose and mouth, tumbling in all directions. The beast collapsed like a deflated balloon. In the distance, the closest row of the dragon army staggered to a halt. The dragons on the wing fell to earth. One by one, the stricken creatures sneezed. Some popped like bubbles and unleashed a rain of confetti and streamers. Some lost their bones like their bigger cousin, and some stifled fiery sneezes so intense that they burned to a crisp from the inside out. By the time the mayhem subsided, Grogar's dragon army was smaller by nearly half. All around Discord, the smooths surged in boiling, bubbling waves in response to the massive magical display. Countless tendrils reached up to splash and bind him, pulling him down all the quicker. Grogar snarled in rage.
You fool! Why? Why throw your life away? For them!
Discord grinned impishly as the smooths covered him.
I'm not. Those little ponies managed to beat me, Grogar. And I'm a god. You're just a dead sheep. When they destroy your big, scary plan and leave you just like that.
He nodded at the scattered piles of dragon bones.
I'll still be free.
Discord shuddered and winced, and then fell silent and Grogar threw back his skull and let out a furious roar. One of the larger survivors dipped its head to allow Grogar to climb aboard, and the army marched and flew toward Canterlot. Moments later, once the smooths had rippled and settled and grown smooth once more in their wake, a far, far smaller ripple made Discord and Fluttershy's bodies shift as a shadow fell over the space between them. Lyra and Bonbon trotted through the cavernous halls of Canterlot Castle, heading for Canterlot proper.
It's all just so awful!
Bonbon shuddered.
What are we going to do?
Lyra nuzzled the earth pony's neck. She forced a smile.
We'll be okay, you'll see. We've been through worse than this before.
Not even life in Ponyville has been as bad as this before.
We still have each other, Bonnie. That's all that matters to me.
Bonbon wiped at her teary eyes.
That was so cheesy.
Lyra grinned.
But you love it.
I do.
Someday I'll get you to say that in front of a crowd while I'm holding a ring.
Lyra!
Someday, Bonnie, I will make an honest mare out of you.
Bonbon giggled softly. The pair trotted on in slightly more comfortable silence for a time, until an echoing roar was followed by an immense impact that shook the floor and shattered the glass in a nearby window.
Ah! Lyra!
Bonbon cried out and threw herself on top of the unicorn at her side as shards of glass rained down around them from the shattered window.
Bonnie, no! You'll be cut to pieces!
Fine.
The pair staggered back onto their hooves and looked around.
What's happening?
I don't know. Come on, we gotta get away from here before more windows shatter.
As they cantered through the halls, more and more roars and tremors sounded from afar and close by, and other ponies raced through the crisscrossing hallways. The first sign of the true nature of the crisis came when a section of outside wall tore away and a scaly, smooth-covered head thrust inside. Lyra and Bonbon skidded to a stop less than 2 yards from the monster. They pulled up the carpet as they threw themselves back the way they came. Fire-honed fangs clipped an inch of hair off the tip of Lyra's tail, but the pair escaped around a corner and began galloping in earnest.
Dragons!
Panted Bonbon.
It's dragons!
Ponies! Kill the ponies!
Another roar drowned out Lyra's reply as they came to the castle's front doors. The dragon standing in the courtyard was half again the size of the one from which they'd fled. Its dark red, smooth-stained scales were already caked with dirt and rubble from the havoc it was wreaking, and refugee ponies were fleeing from it in all directions. The beast turned its blinded head toward Lyra and Bonbon and spread its wings, countless eyeballs rolling around to focus on them. The mares cringed and held one another, awaiting certain doom. But then 3 stories worth of white stone tower swung down like a falling tree and shattered over the dragon's back, and a vision of holy fury descended from the sky. The blazing, corona-wreathed golden plate-armored form of Princess Celestia alighted on a clear patch of ground. She spread her wings wide and spoke in the booming, stentorian tone of the royal Canterlot voice.
We will ask thee once, dragon. Go in peace. Now!
Her aura intensified, The grass around her smouldered, and the stone bleached. The dragon shook like a wet dog, sending masonry scattering. It squinted its wing eyes against the princess's glare, and then unleashed a furious roar.
Ponies! Kill the ponies!
Celestia fixed her stance and lowered her head, leveling the razor-keen golden blade sitting flush with her flaming horn at the tainted beast. She addressed Lyra and Bonbon in a tone only slightly softer.
Run!
Snapped from their awestruck reverie, the two mares fled as quickly as their hooves could carry them. At least a dozen full-grown dragons were assaulting the city, and countless wormlings rampaging through the streets. Royal guards and able-bodied civilians clashed with the invaders with hoof and spear and tool. Every turn brought fresh dangers, and the pair galloped until their breath came in wheezing gasps. Lyra strained to keep up with Bonbon, but she simply could not match Earth Pony endurance. She started to fall behind. Bonbon slowed to keep her close.
Lyra! Come on, baby, you can do it!
No! Go! You go! Get to safety!
Not without you! We get through this together, or we don't get through it at all.
Your pep talks suck.
Behind Lyra, a black-scaled wormling plodded into view from an alleyway and snarled menacingly.
Bonnie! Go!
Damn it, Lyra! I'm not leaving you!
Bonbon shoved Lyra forward, her tears leaving a damp streak on the unicorn's shoulder.
You have to!
Lyra ignited her horn. Her golden aura surrounded Bonbon. With a flick of her head, the Earth Pony flew ahead like she had been fired from a slingshot and tumbled down the street.
Come on, you big ugly thing! Come and get me!
Lyra turned to face the wormling.
Lyra, no!
Bonbon screamed in denial as the aura faded. She was halfway back onto her hooves when a blur of yellow and orange raced past her. The wormling inhaled, puffing out its chest to ready a fiery blast, and then caught the swing of a smithing hammer on the side of its jaw. It tumbled to the side, spraying out smoke and sparks like a Catherine wheel. Lyra and Bonbon both stared through the rain of ash and embers at the towering, inequine figure that had just saved them, and the orange mare that followed her.
You okay there?
Lyra, unable to form proper words, merely nodded.
Good. You need to get to high ground if you can.
The yellow-topped tall creature paused.
Higher than here, anyway.
Okay.
Lyra!
Bonbon galloped up to stand by her side.
Oh, baby, don't you ever do that again, or so help me, I will break off your heart and shove it up your...
Megan, we gotta go.
The pony beside the lanky creature flicked her head. The two impossible figures turned toward the castle and moved on without a word. Lyra sat down heavily, the chaos of the moment forgotten.
Bonnie? From the story. The one you always read your niece. That was her. That was the Megan.
Bonbon gave a hollow nod.
And that means?
It was Lyra's turn to nod.
We buy apples from the Applejack.
Twilight sparkle weaved through the air between towers in Canterlot, magically snatching up fleeing ponies as she went. The effort of carrying so many had made her horn burn painfully bright, but she gritted her teeth and flew on. Spike stood on Twilight's back between her wings, holding onto Twilight's mane with one claw and pointing out dragon-threatened citizens with the other.
There are so many of them! Why are they doing this?
It must be the slime!
Twilight shouted back. She swooped low and levitated a mare and her foal without even looking at them. She picked up a heavy chunk of fallen stone in her magic and hurled it at the wormling that had been menacing the pair. Spike winced at his distant relative's lung-emptying grunt as the dragon was pinned between the rock and a hard wall.
Sorry, Spike. I'm trying not to hurt them.
I know.
He squinted against the glare from Twilight's horn.
We gotta find somewhere safe for all these ponies. It's just like in Ponyville. You can't carry them all.
Twilight sighed in frustration.
You're right.
She cast about in search of somewhere, anywhere, to drop off the dozen-odd ponies hovering in her wake. And then she saw it.
There!
Twilight swooped down toward a wide crack in the street that opened onto a familiar tunnel. She put down the magicked crowd in a semicircle around the crack. Her horn let off wisps of grey smoke as its glow flickered and went out. She pointed at the crack.
Those tunnels lead deep into the mountain. They won't find you there.
Get inside, hurry!
The ponies began to scramble their way down into the tunnel. Suddenly, a red dragon hopped down from a nearby rooftop. His upturned muzzle parted in a bloodthirsty snarl. Spike stared.
Garble?
He waved his claws.
Garble, it's me! Spike!
Twilight fixed her stance.
Spike, watch out!
She gritted her teeth, straining to reignite her aching, empty horn. The eyes on the smooth-blinded dragon's wings narrowed. He growled low as he crouched in readiness to pounce. But he never got the chance to make good on that threat. A thick lasso shot forward and cinched around his ribs, pinning his wings and arms to his sides. The rope jerked and he was pulled off his feet. He flipped in mid-air and landed on his head. He groaned, but did not get up. Twilight and Spike shared a startled,
What?
The rope's earth pony owner trotted into view, followed by a creature of legend. Twilight's jaw dropped.
It can't be.
Applejack's eyes widened.
Twilight, you're all right.
She galloped up to her friend. Twilight stayed dumbstruck for a time, her eyes darting between her friend and the coat-clad, bipedal beast at Applejack's side. Applejack frowned.
Twilight?
Applejack?
The voice that replied wasn't Twilight's. Applejack turned to the crack in the street where a yellow filly was climbing her way back out.
Applebloom.
Applejack fell silent, now as stricken as Twilight. The little earth pony filly raced over to her sister and leaped into a hug, nuzzling the mare's chest. The act snapped the two older ponies out of their reverie. Applejack squeezed her little sister back.
Oh, Applebloom! Thanks, Celestia, you're okay!
She rubbed her cheek against the top of Applebloom's head. She squinted back tears.
I thought you... How?
Applebloom fidgeted in Applejack's grasp.
Well, you see...
Twilight smiled.
Applebloom and some of her classmates made it to the clubhouse. I rescued them from there.
She cleared her throat.
They were, having an unscheduled field trip.
Applejack gasped.
Playing hooky? You little varmint! When all this is over, you're gonna be grounded for a week!
Then she hugged her sister again and let out a half-sobbed laugh.
I'm so happy you're safe.
She gave Applebloom a gentle shake.
Don't you ever skip school again, you hear?
She squeezed her close once more, laughing again. Applebloom gave Twilight a pleading sidelong look.
So, Applejack, who's your friend?
The creature stepped forward and dropped to one knee, a storybook drawing come to life. She set down the smithing hammer and held out her hand.
My name is Megan Williams, and I'm here to help.
Deep beneath the castle, and far beyond the reach of the din above, in Luna's dimly lit and darkly decorated private chambers, the Princess of Night reassembled herself with an echoing shout.
Nocturnes, attend us!
A herd of bat-winged grey stallions with slit-pupilled eyes galloped and flapped into the chamber, skidding to a stop before their sovereign and sitting to salute.
At once, Princess!
Pray tell,
Luna asked once they had all arrived.
Did you retrieve the mantle from the old castle, as we once bade you?
Yes, Princess. It was found and repaired in accordance with thy wishes. We've kept it in the royal vault,
said the leader of the bat ponies. Luna nodded.
Good. Fetch it and ready it for our use.
The leader stared.
Your Highness?
Luna narrowed her eyes.
Was our command too complex? Need we repeat ourselves?
The leader cringed back. He swallowed.
No, Princess. It's just that there is a commotion on the surface. The city is...
Do as we command! Prepare the mantle now!
Luna folded her wings. As she turned and trotted away from her minions, a silvery tear stood out on her midnight blue cheek.
I know what I am.
Got the world on top of me, weighing down so heavily. Gonna fall eventually. There's no defying gravity. But you make me feel indestructible. I was bulletproof, tired of making an excuse. I can bleed and I can bruise, but you make me